This is the DIY of being able to, um, if you need to do it on your own, like this is the part I pay attention to. You need to ask yourself for your website, what is the purpose? Is my website to give information? Is my website to sell? Is my website trying to change behaviors and actions? What is the reason why I am making this website? And then the next thing is it's human nature. Like I want to write and organize this website what makes sense to me, because I'm the one putting it together, right? No, 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 no. Again, we want to look at who who is our audience, who whatever your purpose is, who is that person who's coming here for information, or who is that person who's coming to buy something, or who is looking to change their behavior, their action, and maybe they don't know how. Like you need to identify who those people are, and once you've identified who they are, that with your purpose is when you start to brainstorm all the content. That's when you think like say you said, I'm just gonna make this up. When maybe one of your intended audience member is Native American female, 40 to 50 years old, lives in the Southwest, urban resident, whatever, the more you can come up with that persona of your audience type, it's going to help you. And then going back to if this was like for informational purposes, that then you start thinking, okay, let me put that hat on. I'm that 45-year-old native deadly auntie, living in Phoenix. What is she looking for on my website? And then you can just start like brainstorming all the things you think she would be looking for. Well, she's probably looking for my phone number, or maybe she's looking for the email address, or maybe she wants to book a consultation, or maybe she wants to buy a service from me. Whatever those things are, you want to like just get it all out on paper. Again, I didn't say what does April Tinhorn, the owner, want on my website, but you start thinking about every single audience type you identified. You want to think like them, and that's how you'll start brainstorming your content. And then once you have all your content laid out, it's just container, it's chaos. It's kind of like, yeah, I guess it'd be like my shoe closet, like all the shoes are just all in there, right? There's no order. And that's probably how your web content is. And then you just want to simply take that content and you want to start grouping them. You want to like start matching your shoes together because they have a relationship, right? And that's what you want to do with the web content you've all put together. You want to like start getting them where they're related to each other's, and then you want to get them into work it so you have about 5 categories, five different groups, and that's when you organize the content, because those 5 groups, that becomes your navigation bar. Well, the navigation bar is at the top, usually at the top or the side of your website, and it allows you to click into different areas of your website. That is really, really important. I will give some tips when you name your navigation bar, the links. I would say 1 to 2 words, and don't use stuff, etc., or info. Those would be my tips on that. And then each one of those navigation bar links, they correlate here into a web page. So if you have 5 different links in your navigation bar, you would have at least 5 corresponding web pages where, remember, we had all that web content. Well, now you know where they're going into. You're creating web pages that are related, they're grouped, right? So we haven't done anything technical at all. This literally can all be pen to paper or whiteboards or sticky notepads. I would say another tip would be you can do it yourself, but I also would get other people involved. If you can get even people involved for this exercise that actually are a part of your audience type, like in my example, you can get a 40 to 50-year-old Native female urban area in the Southwest and what other elements were part of that persona, and get them to be a part of this. That is so helpful. and it's going to pay off in the customer user experience when they come to your website looking for information. I'm going to take a quick little pause. Anyone have any comments or questions quite yet? I'm really not used to talking this much. I usually like to interact more. Let me see. Could you repeat what you recommend we do not do, Luna? I think you gave a tip on what not to label as a navigation bar. Sure, Luna. So I was saying that for when you're naming your navigation bar, um, each word, I said 1 to 2 words, right? So each word you use, it has to have so much value to it, and it has to be informative. So if I say "et cetera," would you click on "et cetera"? Like, would you know what's behind "et cetera"? Or if I said "info," like, maybe I just say "business info." Do you know what kind of business info is there? And the other one, "et cetera," info. I've even seen this one, "stuff." Does stuff tell you anything about what's gonna be on that web page? So to me, it's like it's wasting a word. You could literally take off stuff or et cetera or info, and you would still have the same amount of information given because it was no value add. So that's about Mariah. About could be okay. Like I have about us on our site. Alrighty, cool. Thank you. That was also a check to make sure people were still on. A. And you can use "who are we," but I like to chat. The other thing for me though, Luna, is depending, does your bar go horizontally or vertically? Um, I like to keep it tight and clean. It irks me when a navigation bar is 2 rows. I think like and I'll admit when I see like a lot of words for more than 2 words, well, three, they're little, I guess that's okay. But like maybe at least 4 words for a link, I think to myself, like either they're not clear what it is themselves, the people who, the website is, or they kind of just they didn't spend time. And if they're not going to spend time on their own website and naming the navigation bar link, that to me gives me a clue that they didn't really spend time like in creating the content. So that's my personal I guess assessment when I see that. And Bobby, how do you communicate to a client that their website navigation is clunky? Easiest part, if they're looking at analytics, leave it. And they'll see web user was on there for zero point 0.1 seconds and they clicked on nothing because analytics will tell you how long someone was on your site. And it'll also tell you like what they clicked on and how, depending on how you set it up, it can also tell them how much time you spent on each page. So if they're if they're looking at analytics, that would definitely like if I see that someone came and spent like less than 5 seconds, shoot, probably even less than 15 seconds on my site, I would really, like, look at what page they were on, like, did they go beyond the homepage? It would make me look into my site. Um, I'm sure there's more other things you're thinking about, but that'd be my quick answer for that one. So this would be, this is for web content organization, and again, we are just doing dim sum little taste. So let's look at an actual example when we're talking about content organization. And I would like to share that another thing about the investment. Remember, I said investment of time about working on the phase 1 of 3 of your web cycle in the preparation phase, that it will pay off and give you dividends on that. Besides just a better customer experience, it will also stand the test of time, because if you have to keep redesigning your website, that's a lot of resources, your time, your money. There's just like a lot of resources. So I'm not them legislative branch. They were one of our first, I think, maybe first, second, or third, like within the top first 3 clients we ever had. And I think this is even before my company became an LLC. So this would be, probably at least 15 years ago. And we spent like that infographic I just showed you, like they didn't have a website. We spent time with the legislative council and we went through that same exercise. It was a half day though. And, for this website, I know some of us, will be like, "Oh, but there's no pictures or it's not flashy," or what have you. But let's think about a legislative branch. Remember, what is the purpose? So I believe they were like, it's information. Who are your audience? First and foremost, they said it was their tribal members. And then they were like, as we started peeling the onion more, they're like, well, a lot of legal eagles, they tend to come to our website because they have there's the Donna Optum code. So anyone who would need to know information about their code, it's here, it's online, it's very organized, right? You can see, you click. There's also, because their council meets, I believe, at least once a month. And I know monthly they put all their council actions, the resolutions, and they do it by year and month. And they have a great numbering system. This is what tripped me out when we first started working with them, like over 15 years ago. Look how far back their council actions go. 1937. So they, like I think this actual page is their most used page. And we also know that it is heavily used because when they have contacted us, we created it, like I said, over 15 years ago. We spent the time in laying out their site, right? So when we laid out their site, they're like our audience who's coming here, they're coming for council actions, the resolutions. They're coming here for the code. They're trying to reach their representatives and committees. So you'll see here, they have their names, they have their terms, because that's important to their audience, and they wanted to for them. You'll need to make these judgment calls. How accessible do you want to be, and how accessible for the people on here do you want to be? Do you want to send them to one phone number, one person? In their case, they're like, oh no, all the reps, they need to be accessible. So you'll see like how they have their phone number, their email, their name, their terms. Shoot, they even put the committees that they're on, because for their audience, that was very important for them to know that. Because the other thing we asked when we were brainstorming, we had like the admin assistants, the ones who answer the phones. And, we asked, well, what do you get called for the most? And they were like, we get called for the directory. We get called for the votes. We get called for these certain resolutions, or we get called for when's the next meeting, or how can I get on the agenda? How can I look at the notes from the last agenda? So like based on what their needs were, this is how we set up their site. I remember I said the power of putting in time there. I believe this navigation bar it's been the same. They haven't updated it. And I know they get heavily used because their site has gone down a few times. Um, they didn't for a while, they weren't doing their web care package with us, and we'd get a call, our website's down, and we know this because we got calls from like attorneys in Tucson or out of DC, because they can't utilize the resolutions. So just start to think this is an example of an information site, and wanted to show that example for a real client in Indian country. Hey, sound like an infomercial here, huh? The views expressed here are purely mine. All right, so oh man, I get so long-winded. So we're gonna look at ingredient number 2. We're talking about the customer experience, right? When they go to your website, and we said we're gonna look at content, organization, and we're also gonna look at brand. So there's many different definitions out there. To me, I like this one. I'm one for simplicity. So a brand is the overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general. Or for those of us who aren't word heavy, it's your reputation. It's your reputation. I also like to say if you were to think of your business as having a personality, what is the personality of your business? You know, for my business, I know I was like, I'm very conversational, like I'm not like the last website we saw, Donald Optum Legislative Council, right there. For them, they deal in like legal world, so it's professional, it's third person. Mine is a lot of what I wrote. I think it used to be first person. We might be during the rebrand, it might be changing, but it started out as first person conversational speak, and uh, we had, different branding, your logo, your colors, your type font. And that's just so like wherever your business is online, or if it's on print, or if it's in person, that people can tell, that's your brand. Uh, So I know for me, I like to use color. So this last refresh, we're yellow. We're yellow and we're the hummingbird, because the hummingbird lets you know that you're going in the right direction. And we incorporated, we kept part of our old logo, our original logo here, and we say that this is like we help facilitate your story, like help facilitate what it is, and then we help amplify it, and that's why there's no end to it. That's why we didn't do a circle. We made sure it was open because it always can grow. Wanted to show an example of what brand is can look like online. We went and redesigned our Tinhorn CX website. I think it was last. We're coming up, I think, almost on a year now, and it really changed. We went through that exercise of like our purpose, our audience, organizing the content, and this is for our audience. We realized that a lot of our audience doesn't read. They want you to just come with it from the get. And also the feedback we've gotten from our customers is that it is the value of working with an indigenous business owner that is important to them. Even when we've had like cold call mini consults from Google, when I asked, "How did you find us?" They're like, "Well, we were looking for an indigenous business owner. We wanted to work with an indigenous business, so that's a part of for our customers is that value." And so that needed to be for us. That was really important. That from our brand, that you saw that again. Pictures can say 1,000. One picture can be equivalent to 1,000 words. So that's why for ours, okay, here, Luna, you're gonna catch me here, huh? Here, I was all 2 words, 2 words. So apparently we like 4 even, eh? I remember having this conversation now with the team because I was like, 2 words, 2 words, and they're like, no, we want. So we came to an agreement for our audience when they're coming for, like, remember the other ones, they were on the other website, they were like looking for legislative actions, resolutions, phone numbers. For us, it's different. Our clients are looking for like, what do you do? We've heard about Tinhorn CX, but what do they do? Who are they? And then they also want to know what other people are saying about us and then how to contact us. So we just came with it. And the thing that was something that was totally different in this last web content organization session that we did, uh, it was actually, we had an outside entity like review our site, and they were like, there are no call to actions on your website. So I paid to get that tidbit, and I'll reflect it back at everyone on here. Take a moment after this workshop and look at your website as one of your audience members, but really look on your website. Are you asking the web user to do anything on your site? Like, are you asking for them? Like, if I saw you on here, Morning Mist, are you straight up asking someone to buy some of your serum, or Vanessa? Are you straight up asking your web users to tour your facilities, or I don't know what your first thing is. I would think if I think that would be a big one. But each one of you, are you straight up asking? Because I think I don't know if that's cultural or if it's gender or what have you, but I notice a lot of us just don't ask. So we talked about that, and I was like, I'm going to ask for the sale, and they're like, dang, that for our audience, I'm like, that's just too direct. We still need to get to know each other. So our team, when we went through this, we're like, we want people to book a complimentary session for us. And that's at the beginning, that was really big, front and center on this homepage, like book a session with us. And that was different for us. So we have that. There's a little bit about elevating, your customer experience and nourishing your business wellness. Another one for our clientele is like a lot of for our clientele, they still like to call. So it was important that it's easy to find a phone number. You'll be surprised. Sometimes it's so hidden or not even on there. How many of you have tried to find a phone number on a website and you just can't find it, right? They want to send you to chat or they want to send you to an email address. Um, I do some find out some information if your users want the phone number or not. And you don't have to give everyone's phone number, but maybe a central one. Um, if as we click through here again, we're talking about brand, sorry. If you just look like without even really reading, like you'll notice if you think about your website, if you were to think of it like real estate, your top left corner is your most expensive part of your website, and it goes down in value where your least expensive part, hey, or valuable part is going to be your bottom right side of the web page. I'm going to ask, why do you think that is? You can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. Least valuable, most valuable. We got Mariah. Yes, it is exactly to do with the scroll because how many people do you think don't scroll? It's a lot. So, and the way, I guess a lot of us who, it depends on your country, right, of your language, but most of us read American Business. We read from the left to the right, and we go down the page. So that's your eye is trained on a web page to go here and then to skim down. Yep. So that's why, here we were talking about branding and how I said for our clientele, it was important for them that they wanted to value-based buying decisions. They want to buy from native. So we wanted to say it without saying it. And you'll see that in all of our sections here. I'm also one for clean space, white space. I'd say in the beginning, I used to try to fill everything up with text, but then do you ever notice that sometimes you can have just so much text that you don't read anything because your eye doesn't know where to land? So that's why we're like, we want to just make things really simple. We're going to use our font sizes, we're going to use our bolds, we're going to use a lot of white space. We're going to try to take some of the guesswork out for people and kind of lead them towards different options. So this is an example of brand, how we're trying to brand throughout our website, in person and online. Again, like I said, we made a choice to like not have a lot of words, and that was an interesting conversation too, because they're like, but how are they going to know what we do? And so uh, that is what we were. Let's see. Does this translate well to a phone? Yep. Um, I guess that's a great question. We did test it on different browsers and also on mobile. How I said about obviously the imagery, like here, it doesn't show up on mobile the same way. But when you go on mobile, you do see the navigation bar and you do see the branded images, which was important for us. And what's interesting for our clientele is they come, I think over 50% of them are desktop. And that will also go into, your aesthetic look of how you're doing things as well. And then since I said we had a couple of ingredients, I was thinking like, well, let's bake now. We've gone through two examples of of the folks in our audience here in the circle. Would anyone like to in chat? Would you like to put your business URL, and we can, as a collective, you can get some feedback, and we'll go through it just based on what we talked about. The first one I see in chat, we can utilize your website, and if nobody comes with it, we can also use it for this time. Okay, never mind. Okay. Oh, okay. I got .org. So let's utilize a couple of minutes here. Let's look at this from the perspective of, let's see, web organization. So this will be my question. I'm going to scroll through it, and I'm going to ask I'll click through a couple of them, and let's think about, let's go first thing. Is this an information website? Are they selling us something? Is there a call to action? Okay, so we have interested in home care employment with our Shidine, eh, home care team as a caregiver. Sorry, click here. Ooh, call to action. Woo woo. Got a logo, home services, about, news and updates, contact us, employment, employee portal. Let's see, and we got a number. We have a contact us button. They're showing us a map of service areas. Let's see, we can find out more. We're seeing what for services. We also are looking at that they are a Navajo owned and operated home care agency. We're seeing some imagery, some branded imagery of what they do. They can giving us contact us, or they're inviting us over in person. Or they're in Phoenix. We have a phone number. We have their hours of operation. And let's see. So just based on this little snapshot, I know I haven't gone deep. Is this a informational website? Is this selling services, or is this a call to some call to action? What do you see in this website? You can put it in chat. Um, let's see. Selling services. Okay. Services. And let me ask Vanessa, if you could unmute yourself.
Mhm.
How would you say that you built your site to be informed for information, to sell services, or to a call to action?
I think it's a call to action for caregivers. And what I'm not really focused on at the moment is attaining new clients, folks that need home care services.
Okay. So, all right. So she asked for employment up here. I think from Vanessa, you're getting some feedback here because two people were thinking this was selling services, and one person thought it was a mixture of a call to action and information. So perhaps you might want to tweak some things so it's like very clear to lead us to that it is you're looking for to hire. Okay, so that was one question. Organization. If I were, let's just look at her navigation bar. So let me ask, can we ask you real quick, Vanessa, who are some of like three or five of your audience types you're trying to reach with this website?
So it's the elderly, American Indians, and potential caregivers.
Okay. All right, so let's think of say you said, what'd you say? The types, potential caregivers, elderly, and what was the first one?
Native Americans.
Okay, I think I haven't looked at all of our pictures, but I think most of us are Native American, so we're coming as ourselves. Someone give me, if we came here, what would we be looking for possibly? Someone just put it in chat what we'd be looking for. So I'm just gonna take a part of yours, Kiva, Lynn. Let's say we were looking for elder care services. So if we're looking for elder care services, just looking at the navigation bar, which link would you click on? And go ahead and you guys can put it in chat. What would you click on to look for elder care? All right, so I'm seeing services. I'm seeing the big green button. So let's see. Aha, home care services. Whoop, whoop. Good organization, web content organization. Good job, Vanessa. So we could go more. We could also talk about her branding, but in the interest of time, I just want to I'm going to open it up for like if you have like a burning desire question, you want to throw that in the chat. And while you're doing that, Jennifer, do you want to do the wrap up and then I could come back to any of those questions?
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, thank you so much, April, for hosting this amazing workshop. I'm learning so much already, and I'm already thinking of all the updates to make to mine. Just thank you all for joining us, and we'll have another virtual program December 11th. So look out for that announcement as well. And always please feel free to reach out. I'm going to drop my email address if you have any other questions. And I'll go ahead and pass it back over to April to answer your burning questions.
Okay, I appreciate that, Jennifer. And I appreciate all of you going on this journey with me because ultimately I feel that most of us are probably servicing the same folks. So I look at like if I can help you in getting, your information out there and it's clear. I guess I'm talking big takeaways now from like for the past hour. I would say that from my perspective, in the beginning of my business, I was thinking about things more from my perspective, but in customer experience, it's switching it and it's thinking of, okay, from my customers' experience and their viewpoint, how are they experiencing, their interactions with my business from, like my website to the actual service, like, I do trainings facilitations and we do tribal connecting, but how are they experiencing that service? And even the pre-contact, the actual service, the post-contact, the follow-up, how am I showing up in community and what is that customer experience? Because I think I think for a lot of us in our clientele that it's not a one and done. There's always gonna be, like, because 'cause we're small, right? We're relatively small, and I feel like we're always in community in some, um, form or fashion. Maybe we're mothers and our kids, we're interacting with our kids now, or maybe we're, through our elders, our healthcare, or our different causes, but it's not just your customers are always there. There's always, chances to improve that customer experience for them. And a lot of the beginning part of that to me is making sure it's very clear that I do as a business owner that I'm doing my work to really clarify and know why, in this instance, why I have a website, why it's out there, why to make it clear for my users that they're able to find the information they need or the services they're looking for. That's the difference between a great customer experience and a not so great one where they're clicking, 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 and they're trying to find things or they're frustrated and they just leave. You know, they take if someone takes the time to go to your website, they're looking for something. So like let's make sure that it's really clear and simple for them to find it. And with that, I would like to invite everybody, have a QR code here if you'd like to stay in contact and community with Tinhorn CX, where this is a link to join our constant contact email list. And I think we send things out maybe once to maybe 3 times a month. So you're not going to get totally spammed. We try to share things about like what in our service areas, a tip of some sort, and then also kind of what's going on in Indian country from that lens of business wellness, customer experience, and also being out and about in Indian country and shining and uplifting others. So with that, I appreciate you showing up here and participating and sharing a little bit about, where you were from in the beginning. And I would welcome you to connect with us on social media. We're active on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And I believe, Jennifer, you said this is going to be recorded and will be shared on Native Women Leads YouTube page. So you can review it there, or and you can also share it with others who you think it would be helpful for them to improve their online presence and to improve their customer experience, because this was our gift back to the community, by having it on the YouTube channel. So I don't see anything on chat, but you can. Oh, I just clicked on it now. Like there wasn't anything, but I guess there is. Let's see. I'm going to go to the last person this time who asked a question. I saw thank yous. Yep. Bobby, what are some good resources to optimize my website? Oh, maybe you can unmute yourself, and if you want to give me a little more information about that, I could I could help a little more.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, yay. Okay, my mic works. Um, I guess like analytics wise, you mentioned analytics. What do you use just like a program that's because right now I'm using WordPress.
Mhm.
But I've used like Google Analytics in the past, but I know like they're starting to do like paid tiers, but at this point I'm not ready to put money into the analytics. Yeah.
I know WordPress has some plugins to help with that. The only thing with, anything with WordPress though is you have to keep your plugins updated, right? So then like always having to balance, right? Like, so is it worth it to pay, like Google or another service because then it's less lift on your part or putting in the work to remember to update your plugins? I'm gonna say on this, I'm gonna make a plug for is it Jake Foreman? He's one of is it Google, he's a Google ambassador, and I know he does a lot of trainings from New Mexico Community Capital, I believe. And Jennifer, you might know a little bit more. I know he was an offering last week just got canceled where he was teaching, he was going to teach us how to use Google Ads. And so I'm wondering if does he also offer a Google Analytic class as well?
Yes, he does. He offers a bunch of different trainings and workshops on how to use Google, and that is one of the content or one of the content pieces that he does share. So they post the Google class information on the website. So follow New Mexico Community Capital. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. Check out their website. And then if you're not already following them on socials, follow them there as well.
Okay. All righty. And let's see. I know we're over time, but Mariah, if you wanted to contact me or anybody, you can always actually I can drop it in here in the group chat. I think I have a Calendly, like a Calendly complimentary mini consult session. I think it's 20 minutes. Uh, and I'm dropping the link in now. And you can book a time with me. And if that doesn't work, just in case, I know this one, calendly.com/Tinhorn, and then select the mini consult one. We're doing a lot of in our operations, we're really revamping and refreshing. So things aren't coming right to me because they're literally changing as actually I have a meeting with operations after this, so things are changing. But I know you can go to calendly.com/Tinhorn and select mini consult, and it's a complimentary 20-minute session with me. So again, thank you everyone for your time and your questions, and I look forward to checking out your guys' sites and if you see me, come up and say hi. And thank you.